forced to be here. But all of you, hey, hey! Well, hopefully you get something out of it. Aaron said earlier I did a kind of like a guitar clinic, for want of a better term, this morning. That's why the guitar and amp and stuff are here, but I'm not going to do anything like that now. There might be a chance later on to talk a bit more about guitar specifics, but I can talk about how I make my living kind of from guitar playing and diversifying from that, and that's what I'm kind of here to do this afternoon. But I don't really want it to be a kind of front-loaded thing, like me preaching, this is what I did this, why don't you do the same? It needs to be kind of, what I'd really like to know is what it is that you guys and girls do, so that I can perhaps maybe help you to think of some ways that you could diversify what it is, your skills, basically, and make some money from music. Not just some money, but maybe all of your money from music. And it's only been in the last, because I'm old now, but it's only been in the last, I don't know, I'd say 10 years that I make all my money from music. And I've done lots and lots of different jobs as well, right the way from being your age in about 19, 12, and doing bar work, part-time stuff like that, up to managing a call centre and then doing musical things on the side and then teaching and all sorts of stuff. So I'll tell you where I'm at now, and then I'll try and unpick it for you, and maybe that will give you some ideas about what you can do. I'm going to talk about it from a guitar playing perspective, but actually that doesn't really matter too much, because where I'm at now, it doesn't matter about the actual product or the style of music or the musical instrument. You can apply it to the world that you're in. If you're in music and you're interested in making a career at it. It was interesting what Aaron said about, is that little, if you think about the music industry as a hierarchy, as a triangle, don't know why I'm doing that. The top of it is where, they're the famous people who are potentially, not always, potentially making a lot of money from music, and they're the people that, on the covers of magazines, all of that stuff. And it's a tiny, tiny percentage of people. Just below that are the people that you don't see, like the producers and all of that kind of crew and get-up. But the industry is supported, and actually the vast majority of the industry comes from manufacturers of instruments and the things that support musicians in day-to-day life. Like maybe it's software, maybe it's a keyboard, all of that stuff. We're interested in music, aren't we? So we go and buy stuff because we want to play those instruments, or maybe we're trying to emulate our favourite players or whatever. But that's where the industry's at. So if you work in a music shop, you're already halfway in to what is the industry. And actually some of those things which I'll talk about, some of those skills that you pick up working with people will stand you in good stead, no matter where you are in the industry. So where am I now? Who the hell am I? I'm a product demonstrator, that's one way to describe me. Session guitar player is another, for live and demonstration, and also recorded stuff. Guitar tutor is another work stream, an income stream for me, and video content person. I think my job title is something like video content specialist, but actually it's a really fancy way of saying I demo guitars, make the videos, and they go up onto the internet. So that's, I work for Boss doing that, and I also work full-time now for Dawson's Music. So if you don't know who Dawson's Music are, I don't think there's one round here. There's 13 big shops across the UK, and they're one of the biggest music retailers in the UK as well. Surprisingly though, didn't have a massive share of the internet market in terms of sales. So it's funny, isn't it? When you think about going to a music shop these days, or where the vast majority of sales are, you think, I go to a shop and I buy them from there. But actually, there's a whole new marketplace, the online marketplace. And I think retailers are only just beginning to kind of grasp that. Because if I said to you, what's the biggest search engine in the world? Google is the biggest search engine, isn't it? So if Google is the biggest, what's the second biggest? It's YouTube, believe it or not. YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. It's so random, I know. It's one of those facts that you think, what? But everybody uses YouTube now for not just to watch videos of just cats playing piano and people falling off skateboards, they watch it to review a product to see, well, I'm about to buy that guitar, for instance. What does it sound like? What does it look like? What could I do on it? What's the latest game that comes out on the Xbox? You know, there's some massive, it's a massive industry actually. People, certainly within the gaming industry, put in their reviews and stuff online on YouTube. And the gaming industry itself know this. So the people with the biggest amount of subscribers are being given the games for free and the computers for free so that they review them. It goes out to the public who get to see them, and then they go, oh, I've got to have that game, Call of Duty 12 or whatever it is, wherever around now. So that's the key thing. And so what's happening in the music industry is that definitely music retailers are picking up on that. So YouTube is a new territory for a lot of companies. So you take Dawson's, for instance, big, massive music retailer, but didn't have any YouTube presence really. Whereas you can take a smaller company, like an independent shop like Anderton's in Guildford, who have got a massive, massive internet share because they've, capitalised on it, and they've got a really good channel, loads of subscribers, and etc., etc. So people don't just want to look at still images anymore on the internet. And generally, they don't want to be fed adverts on regular terrestrial TV. They want to go and look at things that they're interested in. So YouTube is becoming bigger, and bigger, and bigger. And my job, every day, and I can take you through an average day, is I get sent between 6 and 10 products every week. And because I'm a guitar player, they're generally stringed instrument stuff. So it could be guitars, amps, pedals, basses, anything like that. And then I have to demonstrate it. I film it all. Then I do all the editing for the video as well, all the audio, write the music, and then I render the video and I upload it to their YouTube channel, which they then can link to their website. So if you like the guitar that I'm playing in the video, you can go, I like the sound of that, and click on the link, and you go to their shop. So you can get it from there. And that's kind of the cycle, if you like. If I went back maybe 3 years ago, I couldn't have done that. Number one, because I didn't own a video camera. I didn't know what YouTube was, let alone anything else. And I had no idea how to edit videos. But what I had done for years and years and years was play guitar, from like being a very, very small person. And so what happened was, for years, because of my guitar playing skills, what I would do is made money from doing session work and doing gigs and all that sort of stuff, and then teaching as well. And then with the advent of the internet, then I was able to sort of branch out and do session work online, share some of that knowledge online, if you like. So what would happen is people would send me a backing track, and this still happens now. They'll send me their track, and it could be a singer-songwriter who will say, I need some acoustic guitar, an acoustic guitar solo here. Can you send me 6 different solos? And with the advent of technology and people recording at home, as many of you do, will, or have, and you do it here as well, don't you, at the college, you know that you file, you can make music so easily, just sat in your own room, and get it out there, and it's studio quality, and you can get it in front of people. So with the advent of more and more sort of porter studio stuff, there's been an increase in the amount of online sessions that have been available to players like me, and to players like yourselves, if you get into that world, to be able to provide that. So what I was saying earlier today when we were talking about guitar playing was, I diversify my playing and my playing styles in different genres because it gives me the ability to play that country solo or the jazz solo. I'm not turning work away going, yeah, I don't really play rock. I know somebody who does that. So that's number one, you need to diversify your instrument, whatever it is. If it's guitar, keys, if you're into your high-tech stuff, then you've got to really know your onions, I guess, haven't you? Another thing that I have to do, as in addition to the videos, is write blogs, because blogs are actually a huge part of the Google process now. Trying to talk a bit technical about Google and the search engine stuff, but if you think about search engine optimization, so what does that mean? If you type in Boss guitar products or Boss pedal, if you're a company, you want your internet link right at the top of those results, don't you? You don't want to be 68 pages down, because no one's going to find you. So the way to have that is to have blogs, to have an internet presence that people then share. It has to be good stuff that But people go, oh, this was good. Or it could be really bad, and people go, watch this, it's rubbish. But either way, it's being shared, and it goes, the ranking. That needs to be written by somebody. And it needs to be written by someone who's got some credibility about, knows what they're talking about. So you wouldn't get Jeremy Clarkson to write about this Ibanez guitar. He probably would. He'd probably say, it's the greatest guitar in the world, or something equally as stupid. But it wouldn't be, nobody would listen to him, would they? They'd just think, oh yeah, it's Jeremy Clarkson. So you need to have people like yourselves who are playing the instruments, they know how to use them, writing these blogs. So companies are looking for creative people with credibility who know how to do these things. And so that's another part of my job, is to write the reviews for things. Not only the product demos themselves, play the stuff, film it, do all that, but actually then write coherently and communicate coherently beyond the usual grunts that you get from musicians I've met over the years. So forgive me if I'm just like top loading you with stuff, but this is pretty much what I do every day. So I get sent the products. I don't decide which products are coming to me. They just turn up. So then I have to kind of unwrap them, get used to them, and then film them. So all of that that's fine, isn't it? You need to have logistical skills to be able to figure out where stuff is, when it needs to go back, how you're going to film it. But the biggest thing that's made me money in the last few years is learning how to make videos and really simple product demos. So I think that's a massive, massive area that any one of you could get into, and it's a real big, it's a real massive money spinner for you potentially. If you can speak to people, if you can be credible and you know your stuff with the instrument that you're playing or the tech piece of kit, if you can start making reviews of that stuff, and you've got great opportunity here actually, because you've probably got you've got video equipment that you could probably use. There's loads of equipment that you could then review, and then you could kind of cut your teeth in terms of learning how to edit video. And it's not that expensive really, and you could do it on your phone potentially. By doing that, you're cutting your teeth with video editing, you're getting yourself out there, and potentially you have something to send to a manufacturer, such as Daddario, like Elaine, who say, I've just made this demonstration of your wonderful strings. And then Elaine might share that with the big community that they've got following that particular manufacturer. And all of a sudden, you have bumped yourself up in that world, haven't you? Oh, so-and-so did a good video for us last time. Or maybe we can send them some strings, or maybe we can send them X, Y, and Z next time. So you kind of have to start to speculate to accumulate a bit. The world doesn't come to you. I know the internet's there, but it doesn't come to you. You need to actually think, what can I do to get myself out there? Beyond playing in a band, doing as many gigs as you can, and doing the whole circuit thing, which, all power to you. If that's what you're doing, keep doing it, because it's great. And you will have, all of you have that potential to go anywhere you want to go with it. But there's no harm in diversifying at the same time. And one of the key things that's helped me is being able to have a range of skills, not just the video editing, but communication. Written communication in terms of speaking to people, face to face, being personable, being nice, all of that. The industry is not as big as you think it is. So it doesn't take long, and word of mouth gets around if you're being a complete idiot for people to go, oh, never gonna have that guy, it was a nightmare, can't work with him. And you'll find the industry is filled with lots of people who are kind of half decent at what they do, but they're just really lovely people. So that really gets them the gig. And then you can find some people who are just unbelievably skilled, but they just can't communicate, or seem to have issues that get in the way of that, and that can mess things up for them. So I've briefly covered some kind of bullet points. I haven't drilled down too much into it. And it's the afternoon, and I don't want everybody going, yeah, excuse me. So let's have a show of hands. Who has ever made a product? Who's ever done any product demonstration? The back. And what did you demo?
It was Boss ME25 pedal.
Cool. So that's a good choice of pedal. Did you put it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Superb. And what was the response? What did you learn from that process?
I found that that's the most viewed video I've ever put up.
Yeah, and it's, as a player, I've played for years and years and years, played loads of different styles. I could put, hey, here's a clip of me playing this. Here's a clip of me playing By My Head. All of that stuff. The biggest parts that come up in terms of your searches, if you put a video on your own YouTube channel, are the ones that are about products. So there's loads of search engine optimization you can do with that as well, which if anybody's even half interested, I can talk to you about personally about, which is quite useful. But yeah, so are you going to make some more?
Can be a good idea,
Yeah. And what did you use to film it?
I didn't have any. I took some pictures. I didn't have any footage of playing it.
Yeah. So just, but it was a start, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a start. And then the thing is, the first videos you ever make are probably going to be quite bad. But actually, that's YouTube for you. You're not trying to make Jurassic Park. You're just trying to get, the key points about, across to people. And as long as you're not doing anything offensive or anything like that, then companies will pick up on that and they might, share your videos and it gets you out there. And it's all linked, because if you're doing product demonstration and you've got a video out there and you get, if someone sees you playing some jazz, they might go, hey Lee, do you do session work? Will you play on my track? So everything you do is connected. And one final thing I'll say on it before I kind of solicit some more questions is that you should try to keep your internet powder dry. What do I mean by that? Well, if everything's internet based these days and you are out on the internet, then try to act like you are. Try to act like you do when you're in real life with people, because it's very easy to sort of look back and see how people behave from a trolling perspective and all of that. And actually, those sorts of people don't get work later on, because they're like, wasn't that the guy that was criticising or being really offensive to that person? All right, we'll keep away from them. So I think a lot of people, especially not necessarily young people, but I think a lot of people forget how important keeping your reputation online clean is, particularly if you're going to work with companies, because people don't want to work with someone that then brings a load of baggage with them, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? And it makes me sound like a real granddad, doesn't it? I really don't mean to, but it's interesting, because when the industry's small and you hear a lot of people talk about other people, and that's just naturally how it goes. And some people, get good press within that world, and some people get bad press, and that's just down to how they've acted, and how they behave and deal with people. So yeah, that's kind of an overview. I'll just destroy this mic stand now. I don't know what I'm trying to do. You're going to stay still? Yay! So let's have any questions about product demonstration? How you might be able to get into it? So I've got one person that's made a product demo. How many people are on YouTube? How many people have got a YouTube channel? So quite a few of you. And what do you upload to that channel? Do you upload or do you just watch? Shout, consensus, shout. Covers. Oh, well, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Do you ever think to put links in the video, in the description, to the products that you're using? That would be really good, particularly if it's a really popular cover that you've done. And there's, that's a really great way to grow your subscriber base. And the more subscribers you have, basically means you're becoming more like a TV show. And I remember, I learned a lot of this stuff from a friend of mine called Rob Chapman. How many people know who Rob Chapman is? Yeah, so there are people who know who Rob Chapman is who aren't on YouTube. So Rob's done amazing work on YouTube, built a huge fan base, and he said to me, this is when I said, I don't know anything about YouTube. And he said, I've got 80,000 subscribers. I think he's got something like 220,000 now. I said, well, I don't know what that means. What does it mean? And he said, well, basically, there's more people watching my channel than the main channel in Sweden. So when you think about that from an advertising perspective, if you wanted to go on, I don't know, God forbid, ITV and make an advert and put it on just before the news, how much do you think that would cost? Thousands and thousands you'd have to pay just to get that 30-second advert up there. How much do you think it then costs if you wanted to put that onto YouTube? It's a lot cheaper, isn't it? Potentially you put it up there for free, or you could pay somebody who's already got a targeted audience for you to do that for you. So if you've got an audience of people then companies will be willing to pay you to put your products or their products in front of your audience. So you can see, you can build an audience across the entire world just through YouTube, and then you can make money off it. And then the beauty of it is you get like a double whammy, because from every hit on your YouTube video, every watch, every view, you can monetize it. So you can make a penny or 2 pence per view. You think, well, that's not a lot, but let's say you've got 1,000 videos that you've uploaded, and they're all ticking over at 1,000 views a month. And YouTube's not going anywhere, and that's like a nice little pension fund, isn't it? And you guys are what, 18 to 20 odd, something like that? Maybe younger? Who's the youngest? Yeah, Aaron. How old are you, sir? Nice hat. 16. So, when you're as old as me in 78 years, you imagine how many views you could have had on YouTube and how much money you could have made while you're asleep. And that's the other key thing to think about. So you not only get paid to actually demo the stuff, but you get the gear itself. And then that leads you on to actually understanding how to use the stuff. And then potentially you could get dragged into doing live work. So I do a mixture of both. So I have to go and do live demonstrations of guitar shows, tap dancing on the latest Boss pedals and showing people what they do. And then I do the video stuff as well. So product demonstrating is a viable income. And if you can then link into video editing and understand that world, then you become quite a useful person for companies. And you haven't missed the boat on that at all. I think I'm quite right in saying there aren't many people out there doing it that level. So there are some people who play the guitar and then they have someone else who does the editing for them, or there's people who do all the video editing and they get somebody in to do the film, to play the instruments or keyboards or whatever it is in product demoing. But there's not many people who can do both. And when I talk about diversifying, this is to show you how far you can take it. We had at our house, we had a leak in our bathroom, so we had a plumber in to sort it out. And he came and did something really, really simple. And he was talking about, he needs to earn more money, and da-da-da-da. And I said to him, what have you thought about filming yourself doing these really simple jobs? Like, how do you fix a leaky tap? How do you, the kind of stuff you're like, oh God, I just wish I knew how to, I hope we could fix a leaky tap. But, something a bit more complex, but it's not beyond the realm of the general public. You don't need to be Corgi registered or mess around with gas or anything like that. He goes, no, I haven't thought about it. I said, well, why don't you do that? Why don't you film me? In fact, I'll film you. You give me a couple of demonstrations of this. But do you know what? It was awesome. And then I gave him the video, and he put it online, and then he started to get more work to his plumbing business just because he'd put himself out there and he showed what people what he could do. He looked credible. He looked like an honest man, working. I can help you. I can fix your bathroom. If you're in this area, click on this link and get in touch with me. And so plumbers are on YouTube. So you've got to be part of that. And you haven't missed the boat. Some of the big retailers haven't got onto that vibe yet. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But they haven't. There's playing catch up. And YouTube is an ever expanding place as well. So has anybody got any questions about any of that? Go for it. Videos. Well, I'm not an Apple user, to say that. It's really quite bad, actually. I appeared in a video before I started making them. So one of the things, I got sent by Boss with this, something called a Boss GT100, which is like a big multi-effects unit. And they said, right, go to this person called Rob Chapman, who lives in Guildford, take the unit down there, and he's going to make a video with you. Oh, okay, do you know who Rob is? No idea. Okay, so I turn up there, do this video with this guy called Rob. Drive home and then realise who he is. So my first appearance in a video was on a Rob Chapman video, which had like 80,000 views the next day, something crazy. And it was Rob that said to me, God, you need to be part of this world. You're doing it anyway, you're product demonstrating, but you need to be doing it online. And so I was like, okay, I have got to teach myself how to do this. So I just used my, what did I have, a Samsung S2 or something like that at the time, just a phone. And the problem with that, with video logging, is you don't know where you are. I couldn't sort of switch it around. So I had to place it in a room, stick a mirror behind it so I could see that I was actually in the shot. And then I started making videos. And the only thing that I did with them was literally like, and then off they went. There was nothing going on. And then as I dragged it into various bits of software, Sony Vegas is a really cheap piece of software you can get hold of. But you could potentially do it in Microsoft Video Maker. I mean, you don't have to be doing anything too fancy to start with. And then so that was my first foray into it, chopping them up, trying to get things right, matching audio up so that it's not just the mic audio from the camera and all that sort of stuff. And then trying to develop a bit of a style, because as musicians you get really quite used to the red light on a recording device and playing. But it's ever so strange when you see the red light and the camera sort of blinking at you, because all of a sudden you go, and you think that you have to do it all in one take. I think that's the other thing. Oh. But actually, with the wonderful world of editing, you can I could make this sentence like really jagged if I wanted to, or I could make something that I've completely bodged up speaking about into something really coherent and work. Or I could, put a cow in the background. It's all in the post-production, isn't it? So Sony Vegas was the thing I used, my camera phone, Sony Vegas. And then I just bought a couple of handy cams over time, and then I've used them, and then I've used DSLRs, and got more into it from that perspective. And then you learn things like, what about lighting? Because every time I appear on camera and I go like this, a big shadow goes like that across my face, which is actually a positive in many respects. And then we have things like backdrops, and then how do you overlay text, and how much text do you use? Because I got into the habit of putting text on, and it was exclamation mark, loads of exclamation marks, hey, hashtag this. Nobody wants to see it, and then it dates really quickly. So the only way to do it is to actually, do you guys run courses here, video editing courses or anything like that?
There's also the workshops which happen after the half term. There may be video editing workshops there.
Yeah, so that's one way into it. And as a video content specialist person, full-time work, 37,000 a year, which is all right, not bad. Then you can earn, but you've got a chance to earn more, because I can go and do product demonstrations. I was at the London Acoustic Guitar Show with Dario and Elaine. Was it that? Feels like 6 weeks ago, yeah. So that's like just a daily average rate, isn't it, for a demo guy, a demo person. So there, extra bits. Then you can do a bit of Skype. I can do Skype lessons. That's easy. Got a laptop, camera on top of it. Can you see me? Yeah, I can see you. Let's talk. So, there's so many different ways to make some decent money. Depends what your class is decent, really. But I pay my bills, and that's it. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Dario, Elaine, should I say, has brought a load of goodies for her. Anybody who asks a question gets a lucky dip bag. So well done. Do you play bass? Oh, good. You've got the right strings then, haven't you? I'm going to put these on my guitar. So we'll go. I'll come to you because I need the gentleman behind you had his arm first. Yes, sir. How often do I have to upload them? Every week. So what happens at the minute is because it's a new process for that company, we're having to go through a bit of a process of quality assurance, shall I put it that way. So because I'm making so many, I upload them, but I don't load them straight to the public domain. I upload them as unlisted so that I can get someone else just to look over them. Because when you're doing a lot of video editing, it's like anything. You sit there all day like this with your head on the screen. It doesn't take long before you kind of start to make little errors every now and then. Sort of almost like grammatical errors to a degree, but on a video, like a little blank screen or something will pop up. But yeah, generally about eight a week that I have to upload to that channel. Right, I'll come back to you guys from this gentleman here. What, in terms of what music stuff? No, you don't need. Not for what I do. I think it would help. Don't get me wrong, because qualifications mean you've been through a formal process of training. Okay, so it means you've got to a level, a standard, particularly in video editing. I may have wasted a lot of time and effort and energy learning how to video edit the way I have, and there's still so much for me to learn in terms of lighting. I could have bypassed all of that by having a college course. So I think, you know, the qualifications are going to help you for sure, but they help you because of the practical skills you pick up from a music perspective. I've just played music for forever. So playing lots of different styles, I've said to you earlier in the guitar clinic, it used to be a hindrance to me in some respects, because trying to go down a traditional route of making it, if you like, and you play lots of different styles, you can't be pigeonholed. So it's like, well, does he play country? Should he be in a country band? Should he be playing metal? You know, where does he sit? And the problem is, because you don't sit in one genre specifically, you don't fit that part properly. So I just kind of, session work suited me because I could like bits of bob in and out of it. And so then it was just a natural transition into the demo world, because lots of different products exist and they all like to be being played in different ways. Because, you know, we were talking about earlier, some people in here like to listen to metal, some people like country music, some people like jazz, some people like all of it. So your playing needs to be able to reflect what that product can do for people. So I think that's the key. So how much do you need to know? Well, think about what you would want to see. And then that's a kind of a benchmark, isn't it? What do you want to see a player be able to do if we're talking about a guitar player or a keyboard player or DJ? What skills do you think that they would need that you go, yeah, that's credible, that sounds good. And then that's the way you can pitch it. And that doesn't have to be something ridiculous level of technique. It just needs to be credible. Right, I'll come over. There's this chap in the hat. Another question?
When you get paid, is it through a YouTube partnership or is it the companies that you're
Both. So if it's my own channel, then it's just you get your kind of monthly bit from YouTube. But from a full-time job perspective, it's a pay-as-you-earn salary, and then everything else is kind of freelance. So my boss and Roland stuff. The boss Roland don't employ full-time demonstrators, apart from Craig Blundell, the drummer. He's the only one. And then people like myself and Alex Hutchins, and there's a guy called James Roberts as well. We're freelance for companies like that, and for Daddario as well. Oh, not very long. No, not long at all. Oh, through Boss. So for product demonstration, and it was so I was already in that world, because that's what Rob's a product demonstrator. You know, that's what he's done for years. But then he's found this outlet through YouTube, hasn't he? And he's so, the thing that makes Rob so great is him. What you see on that screen is Rob in real life. There's no filter. It is him, warts and all. And that's why people love him, because he's incredible, isn't he? So yeah, the YouTube stuff came out as a result of working for Boss. Can you go here and do this gig tomorrow? Here's the unit. And a lot of the time it's just about being able to pick something up and run with it. And that was how I got into that. And then once I'd sat down with Rob and he was like, why aren't you doing something like this? The conversation I'm having with you now is the kind of conversation that Rob had with me, if that makes sense. Okay, let's go to the back. So, gentleman there was hand up.
What's the worst mistake you've ever made in the music business? Like one thing you wish you hadn't done?
Worst mistake? I can think of a real clanger. It was kind of behind closed doors at when I was working for, I still work for Boss, thankfully. I was in Budapest, which sounds very James Bond, doesn't it? I was in Budapest with Boss, and we were doing a kind of, how can I put it, like a demonstrator boot camp. And there was a whole load of the Japanese head honchos at this boot camp. And it was very similar to this, actually, but half the people, because it was all people from Boss and other demonstrators from Italy and blah, blah, blah. And I had got some backing tracks prepared, and it said, just dropped it on us, right, we want you to take one of these products, go up on stage, and do a 10-minute demonstration of it. Lee, your turn. Oh, okay. So up I go. I've got this backing track that's got loads of different styles on it, and I know exactly which patches, and I'm going to be awesome. So I kind of go, well, just 1 second then. Tick, tick, tick. I look down, and I haven't put my guitar in, and the cable's like there. So that was the biggest clanger I made. I had to kind of dive across the room. Got to, I think in bar 2, I managed to get to the next lick. And it was one of those things I don't live down very often now. Doesn't matter how well I do in a video, Jamie from Boss will go, yeah, but at least you managed to put your guitar in this time. Yeah. So that's, yeah, I've made loads of mistakes this morning when I was playing. That's life. That's life. Gentleman that looks like Andy James. Yeah, like Andy James.
Of all the products you've tested, what's been your favourite?
Ooh, do you know what? I think recently, because it used to be very much like pedal-based stuff, okay? And I actually just like guitars. Don't get me wrong, pedals are awesome, but I'm really just into, gotta be careful I say, wood. So, acoustic guitars, some of the acoustic guitars I've played recently have been just absolutely stunning. And one of them in particular is quite a cheap guitar. It's one of the Faridas. But because they're a Chinese-make guitar, they use all tone woods, and the tone woods are really nice. But it's like a quarter the price of a Martin. So that'd probably be one of my favourites of recently. Yes, sir.
Who are your musical influences?
Oh, goodness me. My dad. I think my dad. My dad used to play in cover bands. So he'd go to work and they'd play in cover bands, and he used to play things like, Clapton covers and Dire Straits and all of that. And there'd always be Hendrix or something like that, Zeppelin playing in the house from when I was a kid. And then Queen, can't beat Brian May. And so all geeky guitar playing stuff, Django, then into people like Yngwie Malmsteen, then on to Satch and Vi. And then, all the modern players now. You've got in the metal world, you've got Andy James, who's just an awesome player. Guthrie, how can you not be inspired by Guthrie Govan? He's just unbelievable. And Alex Hutchins, who's one of my compadres at Boss. Yeah. Everybody, actually students as well. Somebody will come up to you and go, I'm doing this. And you think, oh, I never even thought of doing that before, because you're looking at it from a different angle. So, everywhere and everything. Oh, well, I think that's quite a simple process. You just have to follow their rules, really. You have to be uploading. I don't know if they have it on like a number of views. It doesn't have to be a lot. You're not talking tens of thousands of subscribers and anything like that. It's just about the content that you're providing is not full of potentially third-party stuff. So it's a good idea to, because you'll always get your adverts that appear in your covers. You won't get the money for that. The artist that wrote the songs picks up the money for that, and that's how they allow it to happen, through the third-party content. And I think it's one of those things you can just apply to. You just apply. But the key thing is not to worry too much about the YouTube partnership to start with, because it takes you don't need to be at Rob's level to make that, a lot of money from it. But you do need to be some way down the line for all those pennies to add up. But it's a worthwhile, at the age you guys are at, it's a worthwhile investment. Gentlemen at the front. I just smash it up with a hammer, just because who cares, yeah? No, I have to send it back. And it can be quite painful to do that. If you get something, you're like, oh, this is amazing, I now need to buy it. And get serious gas, there you go, about stuff. Not gas like that, no. So yeah, I have to send it back, and some of that's the actual logistics of going, organising stuff to come, doing all of the preparation work that is required. So let's say, for instance, I get a new pedal. In fact, I had to demo the Electro Harmonix B9 organ machine. And this thing's, if you're a guitar player, you might know what it is. If not, it basically can turn your guitar into, a Hammond organ and all these different organs. So there's no point me playing like rock riffs on it. I need to play stuff and create music that suits the piece of kit. So knowing it's coming is one thing, but when it just lands on you and you're filming that day, then I have to go, right, get my head into that kind of, I've got to be Jimmy Smith on the guitar, I've got to write to suit it. So writing music, getting all that stuff. So then it's the demo itself, and hopefully you're not kind of bluffing your way through it too much and making loads and loads of mistakes, because it's like that's going to take hours to get the editing right. And then getting everything sent back and then starting the editing process. By the time you've done that, rendered them, uploaded them, the next stuff landed on your doorstep. So it's a rolling